Despite the fact that we're only just beginning our journey into Battlefield 5's Defying the Odds chapter, we really aren't that far away from Chapter 5, The Pacific. I think that's going to be a massive milestone for the game. It's going to introduce a brand new theatre of war, and I really hope when that does roll around, the base game is in a much more stable and respectable state. However, today we're not talking about the state of Battlefield 5, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. I've got some more information from a recent data mine done by Tempor Yal about the Pacific chapter. This obviously isn't official information, so Lossie, what do we do when we're talking about data mined information?
Take it with a pinch of salt.
Exactly, that's correct. So then, without further ado, let's get on with things. So, possibly 3 or 4 new weapons were found in the files after the most recent patch. They're all very iconic weapons from the US and Japanese factions that were used during World War II, and I would have been very surprised if we hadn't have seen these. But nonetheless, we're going to tick them off the list, and we can say with confidence, not 100% confidence because this is a data mine, but with confidence, these will be in Battlefield 5 at some point in the future. First up, we have the M3 Grease Gun, an all-American-made 45 caliber submachine gun adopted into service with the US Army in 1942. It's chambered for the same round as the Thompson submachine gun, but at the time it was introduced, it was much cheaper to make. It did come with decreased accuracy compared to the Thompson, but it was lighter to carry, and that made it a more popular choice amongst soldiers. It's got a similar look to the US mechanics tool that was also used in the field, and that's where it's got its name, the Grease Gun. Now, at this point, with this data mine, we don't have any stats for the weapon, and I really can't say I'm surprised. We're still a good 3 to 4 months away from the Pacific being introduced, yet we don't have any proper in-game models for this weapon either, but like I said earlier, I would have been very, very surprised if this hadn't been included with the addition of the American faction. So, it is nice to be able to check this one off the list. Next up, we have the Type 100 SMG. This is a Japanese-made weapon used during the war, and interestingly, it was the only submachine gun produced by Japan in any quantity. Previous to it, they used imported European designs. This one was their own version. 3 distinct versions were noted by American and British soldiers during the war. We have the Type 100 Navy, which used early versions of the weapon and converted them to use a folding stock, and they were made for parachutists. Then we have the Type 140 and the Type 144. The Type 144, the late war version, was produced with lower quality standards in order to try and deliver more units to the front lines, because by that point, Japan were struggling for arms. This variant was slightly longer, it had simple iron sights, and it had a greatly simplified muzzle brake. The bayonet mounting bar, that was removed, and instead, the bayonet was affixed directly to the barrel. According to official records, so many corners were cut with production that often the stocks of these weapons were finished very roughly, and the welding of the metal was quite poor as well. But despite all of this, the weapon was fairly reliable. It had low recoil and good accuracy for close-range combat, and around 7,500 units of the late 44 model were produced. Just from this weapon's description, and bear in mind we aren't 100% sure what variant we are actually going to see in Battlefield 5, I think we are looking at a direct competitor to the M3 Grease Gun. It makes sense for both factions to come with weapons that trade blows with one another. These are both SMGs, both for the medic class. These are going to be fighting each other all over the maps once they release. And then after the Type 100, we've got the possibility of 1 or 2 more weapons coming to the game. Either we have the Type 99 Arisaka rifle and the Type 99 light machine gun, or we just have one of those two, but obviously I think everyone's hoping that we get both of them. In the files at the moment, this weapon is just denoted as Type 99, so we don't know if it's the rifle or the light machine gun, so I'm just going to hold out hope that it's both. The Type 99 Arisaka rifle, that came in 4 different variants. It had the short, the long, the Type 2 paratroop, and the sniper. Of these four, the original short rifle was produced the most, with millions of units being made, and towards the end of the war in late 1944, early 1945, that same process of reduced standard, that was imposed on the Type 99's production as it was imposed on the Type 100 SMG that we just spoke about. Workers were told to work faster, and so less quality assurance was placed on these units. And then there's the Type 99 light machine gun. This machine gun followed in the footsteps of the Type 96 and the Type 11 machine guns that had come before it, and during the war it served alongside those two weapons as well. But this Type 99 was chambered for the newer, more powerful 7.7mm cartridge. It's the same cartridge that was fitted to the Type 99 rifle that we were just talking about. With both weapons using the same round, that simplified supply of ammunition, and it meant that soldiers in the field, they could supply riflemen or machine gunners with the rounds that they needed for their weapons. About 53,000 units of the Type 99 light machine gun were produced, and really it was just an upgraded Type 96. It used the same initial design, and it had a large number of parts in common with that previous light machine gun. Like I said earlier, these are four very iconic weapons from the Pacific Theatre in World War II. I would have been surprised if these hadn't been part of the Pacific chapter, but it is somewhat reassuring to see them already mentioned in the files at this point. It's just that sticking point around the Type 99. We don't know if it's the rifle, we don't know if it's the light machine gun, but I'm sure that will become clear the closer we get to the launch of the Pacific. Next on the list of Pacific items, it's really more of a talking point in general, but I thought it was appropriate to mention it. I know cosmetic items are somewhat of a sore spot for Battlefield 5 right now. Many players in the community, they just don't like the fact that cosmetics continue to be released via the armory, despite the game being in a rather bad spot when it comes to bugs and performance. And here what I should say is the cosmetics that cost real-world money. There is somewhat of an expectation that the game should be in a good state first of all, before paid cosmetics are rolled out for people to buy. It just leaves a bit of a bad taste in people's mouths when there's a push to release that cosmetic content that drives profits for the game at the same time as the base game itself not really being up to the standard that it should be. But putting that debate to one side for a second, because this does pertain to the Pacific topic, it seems at the moment the team responsible for creating these cosmetic items is pushing ahead with their plans for the Pacific Theatre. In a reply to a thread on Reddit, the DICE technical animator, Niels Vase, I've tried to say his name before and I'm pretty sure I just absolutely butchered it again here, so I'm sorry for that. He stated that plans for American and Japanese items will be executed on for the chapter, and even went on to state that the character team has got some stuff going on in the background to potentially expand upon a particular part of the customization system currently in the game, which is interesting to hear, I must say. He did also say that feedback given on platforms like Reddit doesn't go unnoticed by the team, and I think he's sort of talking generally here, that sometimes a lot of people give feedback and then they never hear anything back and they never see anything come from it. Just because the team doesn't respond, he says that doesn't mean that it doesn't get discussed internally. Not all feedback can be acted upon, not everything is possible, but it is nice to hear the dev team saying, we are listening. That's important, I think. What that particular area of the customization system that may be expanded actually is, Niels isn't saying in his Reddit post, and I totally understand why he wouldn't want to confirm what that is. If it's coming from my point of view, I'd like to see more options around the faces of the players. We have face paints and we have lots of different sort of customization elements that we can put on the faces, but the faces themselves are still the same ones that we've seen from the beginning of Battlefield 5. So if we could have more characters underneath all of our clothing so we can get a different style to their face, that would be really cool, I think. So that's a few more things that we now know about for the Pacific Theatre in Battlefield 5, but there is still a lot of other things coming before we get to that point. the much-delayed Alcindon map on Conquest and other larger game modes. That is still broken at the moment, but it is intended to be released at some point in the future. Hopefully that does come out soon. We've got the Merita map coming next week. That's the second Greek map coming to the game. Lofoten Islands and Provence, both of those are coming in August as new maps, alongside the new max rank increase up to 500. Then we've got rental servers in September, which means us as a community, we can start creating our own servers, running our own rotations and playing around with lots of different game modes, which is great. And then in October, we have Operation Underground, which I'm really looking forward to as well. That is quite a lot to look forward to before the Pacific. DICE just recently fixed up most of the Invisible Soldier issues. There are still a couple of them in the game, which is disappointing, but overall, the issue has largely been fixed, and the game is moving in a good direction again. I'm by no means saying that this game is out of the woods. It definitely isn't, but positive things are happening, and that is good news at least. But before I leave you today, this video is sponsored by Elgato. If you're looking to boost your creative output and up the quality value of your content, Elgato has got a bunch of products that are aimed squarely at helping you out. Their HD60S capture card that outputs 1080p 60 video files, perfect for editing up into YouTube videos, and their Stream Deck helps tidy up a bunch of streaming tasks with just the push of one button. For more information on their products, click the link at the top of the description to head over to Elgato's website. But a big thank you for watching today, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the Pacific Theatre down below in the comments section, and don't forget to hit that like button if you did enjoy this video, and the dislike button is there if you want to click that as well. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.